Welcome to a Tuesday edition of Beyond the Arc. I'm John Gonzalez alongside our NBA insider, Bill Ryder, who fresh off of last night's Clippers game. You were there last night.
I was there. I was have you been to the Intuit Dome yet? It is. I think I didn't appreciate it the first few times I went because I was thinking about work. It's amazing as an experience.
I'm going on Friday. A buddy of mine is going to be in town. They've got the Kings in a cup game, so we got tickets. I haven't been as a reporter yet. Your experience a little different than going as a fan. They make you I know it's like now everything's an app and technology and whatever, but I have to do like 75 different things I can't just scan my ticket. What's happening here?
I haven't done it because I go in a different door and they give me the old fashioned credential and I wear it around my neck,
which I love.
Like
analog.
Here's a tip though. Do you hoop at all? Like, do you play at all? Do you just even casually?
I did for a very long time. Then I retired. And then I came out of retirement recently in Philly. And only by the grace of God did I not pop both Achilles.
All right. So same thing. So in fact, producer Aaron knows this. I used to challenge colleagues to matches we would become a little better than I look, which isn't saying much. They have full court basketball. They're not really playing full court, but there's basketball. There's courts outside, and it's beautiful, and people are playing, and people are sitting on the steps, drinking beer, eating food, watching people play. So if you and your buddy go, you should go early and just hang out. It's like you should shoot around a little bit, have a little 3-point contest, drink a beer. The whole vibe, man. Because I got there really early yesterday. I kind of want to just get there. The game was at 7:30. I think I got there at 4:30, and as you know, you go 2 hours early, and people start to be on the floor, and you can talk to people. But I just hung out outside. You're gonna love it. It's a cool spot.
I'm looking forward to this. Later in the show, we're going to talk about the NBA Cup returning, big game between the Cavs and the Celtics. We'll get into the Sixers being absolutely horrendous. The Bucks got a big win. We'll do Overreaction Tuesday. And by the way, Bill, I keep saying I don't want to talk about the Sixers. I really don't. But after last night, it's even worse than we thought. I have some numbers I'm going to run past you, and we'll do team of the night. But first, as I mentioned, Bill was at Warriors and Clippers last night. Clippers pulled one out, 102-99. Bill, Clips have beaten the Warriors 6 of the last 7.
Yeah.
They've now won 5 at home. You were there. Clippers are not bad.
No, they're not. And by the way, like, those are great stats. And I think the 2 games that really matter is they've beaten them twice this season, right? What is the old Mark Twain lies, damn lies, and statistics?
Mm-hmm.
It's not damn lies to say that the Clippers have the Warriors number even this season. And look, the Clippers they're plucky. They play really, really hard. Tyler was talking about this, how they know without Kawhi Leonard, who, by the way, I guess every Monday the beat writers are allowed to ask Ty Lue what's up with Kawhi. I didn't know that because I went on him, right? And so he's like, funny. Nothing. No. But he was funny. He was laughing. There's no Kawhi news. He's not doing anything. He didn't say this, but it sounds like it's going to be forever. And so he talked about how they've got to put more, and it's a cliche, but the Clippers play out this cliche. So it's not just words. They play harder than everybody else, and they got teams over. I'm not sure they're great, but they're not bad.
They're not bad. They're 8-7. They're 6th in defense. Norm Powell, this is an early overreaction, I guess. I think he's the best Clipper. Like we keep waiting for Kawhi, but this might be their team, and it might be fine.
Yeah, and back-to-back game, Harden sets the record as the second most prolific three-point shooter in history. And I think that means something, and it matters. And Durant recorded a message to the NBA. And so there might, second night of it back-to-back, you're coming off sort of this elation, this moment. There could be a little bit of a letdown. Again, for a team that I thought this team would easily, when the Kawhi reality set in again, would easily be on the outside of the play-in.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, you're right. Like, they're getting contributions from people. When you get to go to these games and you get to be around people, it does help and offer some perspective. And I was talking to some Clippers folks yesterday, which I don't always do. I have sort of a complicated history with that organization, going back to Donald Sterling and going back to a guy named Joe Safety. I don't know if you ever interacted with, but just not great interactions for me. But I know some people in the organization, and talking to some of those folks yesterday for the first time in a while, and really just taking the time to kind of go to that Ty Lue press conference and sort of try to listen to what the Clippers are about. I frankly, John, haven't taken them seriously enough that when I've gone to these games, I've been focused on the other team. They're well coached. They have a pretty good culture.
Yes.
They're not as talented as other teams, but they're really well run. And maybe that's something that goes under the radar sometimes because we don't think of the Clippers that way, but it's a pretty good organization right now.
I was thinking, we were sort of joking about them opening the Intuit Dome and, PG leaving and Kawhi not being there and all you've got is Harden and what a disaster this is going to be. And it hasn't been that. I mean, 8-7 is not, you're not world beaters. You're barely in the play-in as it stands right now. And I would suspect as this thing shakes out that it's going to be tough for them to hold on to that spot, but they're a good watch. I haven't turned on the Clippers too many times this year and been like, wow, that was a tough watch. And I've watched a lot of Clippers just being in LA. Most nights it's like they're giving a good effort. This is a good product.
It's interesting because you're right. And they're not great offensively. And they're really good defensively, but
yes,
the fact that they put in the effort. So it's not some teams on defense like Orlando, right? Especially last year were really effective, but not necessarily easy to, I know you like watching, but not always. There's something about the pluckiness of the other LA team. You're right. That makes them fun to watch. And wherever you come down on Harden, and I think he deserves a lot of praise, even if what I wrote last night was really more about how his greatness, I think, sort of solidifies how much further ahead Steph is than everybody.
Sure.
But Harden's fun to watch. And Kerr talked about this pregame. I love the sort of dynamic of reporters because reporters are trying to get comments from everybody about Harden's record and 2 versus 1 in terms of all-time three-point shooters, in terms of three-point shots made. And Kerr, I thought, was a little, not petulant, but Kerr was asked pregame, what do you think of Harden's three-point shooting? And Kerr insisted a few times of saying he basically fakes it. He basically flops and gets to the free throw line. Is basically what Kerr was. He's a great three-point shooter,
Smart.
Kerr was asked. And Kerr's response was, can't lean into him. He's going to throw his body. He's going to get to the free throw line. But in watching the game and the ways that Harden sort of goes about creating offense, he is fun to watch. And so you take the pluckiness of the Clippers D and just Harden being Harden, you're right. It is an easy watch for a team that's a lot better sans Kai than I thought they were going to be.
That's a skill set. Getting to the line and drawing fouls is a skill set. While we're on the subject of free throws, producer Aaron points out that the Warriors shot sub 50% from the line last night. So the wall coming up big again.
Are we doing is that an Overreaction Tuesday? The wall is the single greatest asset in NBA history? Because I hate to admit it, because by the way, there were more people in this game and more energy. I think it's my 4th Clippers game. I haven't been to all of them. So people came out because it was the Warriors, and there were a lot of Warriors fans there. But the wall, it's cool. I'm
looking forward to seeing all of this on Friday. It's going to be interesting. Something I don't like, and I have not been enjoying, is the Sixers. Bill, so you were texting with Aaron and I last night while you were at the game. You're like, what's going on? I'm like, Sixers are up 19. This is the best they've looked all season. And then I said, I don't trust it. There's a reason for that. And I'm glad I put that extra caveat in there. They were up 19, Bill. They lost by 17. They had a lengthy meeting after the game. You should laugh. It's at that point now. That a lengthy team meeting after the game. That's never good. They missed 49 shots in the game. They had 2 offensive rebounds, and they had exactly 0 second chance points. We bottomed out here in terms of what you could expect from the Sixers. I thought, okay, this is a bad season. I've got some numbers that I want to run past you just from the outside perspective. Are you ready to put aside it'll be okay eventually?
So by the way, it was interesting, instead of watching the game, following it through, because I was at the Clippers game, through the text string, because I was trying to inject some enthusiasm. I think I told you to plan the parade even, and then the tone of the exchange really went dark really quickly. So I apologize for bringing some optimism, and I promise you I'm done injecting any sort of level of belief in the Sixers to you for at least 2 months.
As we're talking about this, Shams just tweeted out that during that meeting last night, somebody challenged Joel Embiid, as well they should, to snap out of it. I'm going to run some stuff past you.
All right, hit me.
Worst record in the NBA, the Sixers. Worst offensive rating in the NBA, the Sixers. Worst field goal percentage, second worst 3-point percentage, second worst rebounding, bottom 5 passing. None of these stats are good. Only 6 teams in NBA history have started out 2-10 and even reached 500. There have been 106 teams in NBA history who have started 2-11 or worse. Just 8 of those even made the playoffs. This thing's cooked.
Okay. So here is my adjusted perspective on Philly. And it's not really a hedge. I think it is probably a lean toward being cooked. I, Bill Ryder, just slept on that when you have a couple superstars that come together, to say nothing of a brand new basketball team. I mean, Daryl Morey put together a whole new team. It takes at least minimum 20 games to figure out how to play together. And they haven't played together. Tyrese Maxey is hurt. Embiid's been out, right? Even PG. So like this process doesn't begin of trying to figure out if they can be good enough, John, until Maxey, Embiid, and Paul George play 20 games together. And when the hell is that going to be? When is the 20th game? Those three, are they February, March, January? So it's because I covered that Heat team and I learned the lesson. That Heat team back in 2010-11, that big three, those guys were bad through 7. They were 9-8 through 17 games with all the scrutiny, and then they figured it out. I think they're washed not because it necessarily isn't going to work. I think they're washed this year because the delay in Embiid and really the Maxey injury has pushed back the beginning of the learning curve of these guys learning to play together. And maybe it's more than 20 games because it's not just Paul George and Embiid having to learn to play together. It's literally almost every single basketball player on that roster having to learn to play together. I think that if Embiid can be healthy, back end of the year, they can be really good next year. But it may be over because I don't know if there's enough time left now for them to just figure it out if they can get on the floor together.
I think you're right that having them on the floor together would be great. And there are 11 new guys, and that's hard to incorporate everybody, and everybody has to figure out how to play together. But for the majority of games this season, you've had at least 2 of the 3. And if you can't win games with 2 of your big 3, then you're not going to win games. And hey, as I look at it, they're not winning games. It's been really bad. Apparently, in that meeting that Shams tweeted about, Maxey challenged Embiid to be on time for team meetings and team activities, calling out the former MVP about being, quote, late for everything and how it impacts the locker room. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't surprise me that Joe's just doing whatever. Afterwards last night, when they finally opened up the locker room, Embiid said, "We'll be fine." I don't know what makes him think that. I know that he has to say something, but Bill, last night, he did not attempt a free throw for the first time since 2018. He's played 90 minutes so far this season. He has 44 points. Okay, remember last season when he was scoring a point per minute. So 44 points in 90 minutes. He doesn't look like himself. They are being outscored by 21.5 points per 100 possessions. Last year, they were outscoring the opposition by 10 and change per 100 possessions when he was out there. He doesn't look like himself. They don't look good. They haven't done anything. There's no aspect to that game that you could point to for the Sixers and be like, well, they do that well.
John, let's circle back to this Shams thing. That's fascinating to me. And this report on Maxey calling out Embiid. If that's true, and I'm sure that it is, I don't have it, but like if that is true, that is the most damning thing that I've heard about the Sixers and any superstar, honestly, in years. And it lends credence to the idea this is not fixable for a few reasons. One, when stars do not like each other, it doesn't matter how talented they are. It doesn't matter how good they are in theory together. It never works when the going gets tough. And it's not supposed to be, the going's not supposed to be tough in November. So if Maxey is put out with Embiid for not showing up on time and not taking stuff seriously, that is a huge red flag if and when they play well together for stretches in the regular season. And if Joel Embiid is not conducting himself as a leader, if he's not holding himself to the same standards, if he's undermining Nick Nurse's head coach, which is what that would be, and he's pissing off his colleague in Tyrese Maxey, and he's created enough dysfunction that the young guys got to call out the superstar in front of a team, a group of guys that have never played together. That is a bleep show. That is game over. And people leak things that are true, but are also in certain contexts to make hopefully more reporting will come out. I'll try to get on it too. If there's not an answer for why Embiid's doing this, or some reflection and a response to change it if this is 100% accurate by Embiid, to me, that is something you don't overcome whenever guys get healthy, whatever time you get to play together eventually on the floor.
When it's Maxey doing the calling out of Joel Embiid, that's how you know things have gotten really bad. By all accounts, Tyrese Maxey is super easygoing, one of the nicest guys you could ever be around. Professional, but like laid back. Yeah, he's a competitor on the court, but honestly, like talking to that kid he's just like a nice human being, right? They had a closed door meeting. Red flag number 1. Red flag number 2, somebody had to call out Embiid, and red flag number 3, it was Maxey. That's not great.
And number 4, it was leaked. I mean, to leak. I mean, this is an attempt, I think, to put pressure on Joel Embiid to get his act together. And also, I'll extrapolate beyond maybe what's fair, but it occurs to me, I'm going to say it. Embiid can't stay healthy. He's always hurt. He played in the Olympics, but hasn't been able to be durable. He's not up to game rhythm and game.
Doesn't look like himself at all.
No, and so like that's okay if it's your body lets you down and you're fighting through it. And maybe that's what it was. That's what it felt like last year, especially when he came back in the playoffs. It's not okay if sort of not having the right habits as a teammate perhaps translates to not taking care of himself. Like these things are connected. Either you conduct yourself like a pro or you don't. Man, it is really early for this kind of drama in Philadelphia. Forget the record. It's pretty early for this kind of drama. Man, do you want to pick a different team? You don't have to be even a Sixers fan.
By Sixers standards.
Wow.
This is a disaster. I mean, like every year you think like, well, it couldn't go any worse than it went the last time around. And then it does. And it's really, I mean, it's really kind of staggering. You know, Embiid wasn't even supposed to play yesterday. He was doubtful. He warmed up. He ended up going out there. You know, he was doubtful with an illness and he ended up. So maybe that's part of it. Maybe he wasn't just feeling well. That happens to all of us. But, you know, at some point, the excuses have to go out the window, right? I mean, like, yeah, it's still only November. The season is barely a month old. We're a couple of days away from it being a month old, but this hole that they've dug themselves into is going to be real, real hard to get out of. Let's take a break. And then on the other side, we'll talk about a team that was doing not well, the Milwaukee Bucks, who all of a sudden starting to gain some momentum, got a big win last. I know it's a little bit, but big win last night, probably their biggest one of the season. We'll discuss that on the other side. This is Beyond the Arc.
There are some things in life that you can't quite explain.
An extraordinary story.
Maybe it sounds flawless, looks effortless, or makes you feel like a part of history.
The first ever goal for BFC.
And when all of those phenomenons come together, it's perfect. Pitch perfect.
All right, welcome back to Beyond the Arc. Just a reminder, you can find us wherever you get your favorite podcast. Please download, subscribe, and leave a review. And if you're listening on Spotify, you can leave us a comment on this episode. If you look below the play button on the Spotify app in full screen mode, you can tell us what you think about the show or leave us a question. Bill, the Bucks came from behind last night.
Yep.
Ended up so they were down. It looked like they were going to lose again. They were at home against the Rockets, who were on a heater, had won 5 in a row. They had a 3. Giannis gets a block. All of a sudden, Dame gets a game-winning drive on Dillon Brooks, and Jalen Green just sort of had a mental lapse where he didn't help on defense. And all of a sudden, the Bucks get a win, and starting to build a little bit.
Şengün had a chance, and there was a wayward pass at the. I mean,
yes. He fumbled
the
the
Bucks
inbound.
dodged 3 bullets or created 3 opportunities, but. It's a win. And you're right. What did the Rockets won? 5 or 6 in a row? I mean,
they had won 5 in a row. Yeah.
Playing. Yeah. So look, I don't like to overreact to single games. I mean, a single basketball game is like 2 baseball games, right? It's such a small sample size, but over this 10-game stretch that began, 3 games ago, where there's a pretty easy run and the Rockets were really the only team over 500 when this stretch began. If the Bucks can win 7 or 8 of those games and get to or near 500, they can turn their season around. They're on track to do that. They are. They didn't play well in that win against Detroit. They almost lost last night, but you're right. There is talent. I don't think they're very good. I don't think they're good enough, but I could certainly be wrong. And that is a really big win. If you're in Milwaukee and you think there's something to salvage, you got to win games like last night.
Yeah, I mean, they're a half game out of the play-in, considering how poorly they started. And you're the one who flagged, their upcoming schedule here. This is make or break for them through this stretch where there's a lot of winnable games here where, if they can get back to around 500 and just be, a solid play-in team, that would be, I think, a positive development for them given how poorly they started. So But I watched that game and I thought that they were cooked at the end. And then all of a sudden, they didn't give up, which I think is just like, at the very least, that's a place to start.
To see some fight. That block by Giannis. I mean, and then Dame going to the hoop. I mean, that's a really important sequence. And it doesn't matter if the Pistons missed a couple of free throws at the end, if Houston can't get the ball into their player's hand with what looked like an easy bucket to take the lead. It doesn't matter if you get a little lucky. If you can scrape together some of those and even like, I guess on the other side, there was that blown call against Charlotte, right? So they're playing these close games, and the Rockets aren't a bad team, but they're playing close games otherwise against bad teams. But if they can win some of those games, maybe there's a way to get some momentum. And you said it, they're fighting still. I suppose that bodes well for the opportunity to turn things around.
Some place to start. All right, let's do NBA Cup previews. The NBA Cup is back tonight, and the big one is happening, Bill. It's the one that we've been waiting for. The Cavs are 15-0. The Celtics are 11-3. This is in, overall NBA standings, but it's a big game for a number of reasons. In addition to the Cavs being undefeated, they have a chance here to make the Celtics 0-2 in the Cup and effectively eliminate them from this thing. You and I are going to be live after the game on CBS Sports HQ, and then we're going to be live right here on YouTube. So come and join us on YouTube after the game, and we'll have a little mini podcast about this clash. But safe to say this is the most anticipated game of a very young season so far.
Yeah, I think by far. And I was asked this morning by somebody, if the Cavs win, are you prepared to say they're the best team in the NBA? And I first thought it was silly, and then I rethought. It doesn't have to be lasting or set in stone, but if Cleveland wins this game and goes to 16-0, they're the best team in the NBA. They beat Cleveland tonight. They're the best team in the NBA.
They're 3.5 games up on the Celtics right now. Technically, they are the best team in the NBA. I know that we look at it through, okay, what can they actually do? Would we take them over the Celtics? Would we take them over OKC? But so far, the returns are, you are what your record is, and they're the best team, and they've been shooting the lights out, and Kenny Atkinson has really unplugged something. Yeah, I mean.
That's the thing. We talked about this yesterday on HQ, right? Like, is there going to be a regression to the mean? The answer is probably yes. Right now, this entire Cleveland Cavaliers team is shooting the three-point line, what is basically Steph Curry's career three-point shooting percentage. I don't think the Cavs collectively are Steph Curry. Probably. And they're shooting, not. I think from the three-point line, they're 3 percentage points better than they were last year over the season. And just field goal percentage, they're 5.5%. I mean, they are, like, some of that can be the offense, and certainly some of it's Kenny Atkinson's ability to create, right, some schemes and create some open looks, and I'm sure get some easy buckets. But from the three-point line, I just don't think they're going to be shooting 42% from the three-point line over the course of the year. But when that regression happens, which it will, it's not as if they're the 19th best defense in the NBA, right? They are outstanding defensively. They're the same defensive team they were last year. So I'm really interested in whether they're a top 3 team that's on a hot streak, or they are in that class of, I think the Thunder and the Celtics are probably the only 2 teams that are clearly in the top tier in the NBA. And I think tonight will go a step toward answering whether Cleveland's really good or elite, like a very small group of teams in the league.
I mean, number 1 offense. And then, as you mentioned, their defense has been surprisingly good. They're 7th in defensive rating. They're better than the Celtics right now. The Celtics have fallen to 9th. So I can't wait for that game. And like I said, come and join us afterwards on YouTube right here. Oh, by the way, Hawks 2-0 in that group. Just like do it. The Hawks maybe a little.
Yeah, the Hawks are.
Why not?
There's some scrappy. The Bulls occasionally play well, but they're not good. And
this is why another reason why the Cup is kind of fun, right? Because the Hawks end up beating the Celtics last time out, and if it's just a random Tuesday, everybody just shrugs it off. But it isn't a random Tuesday; it has little stakes to it. Nugs and Grizz, Nugs have been without Joker the last 2 games for personal reasons. Gordon's been out. Jamal Murray was previously out. Both of these teams are 0-1 in the Cup. The loser of this game is basically eliminated. They've got Bane back. Ja is still out though. Big game for both of them as far as the Cup goes.
Yeah, and just selfishly, I was thinking about what's best for the Cup, and I'm going to be covering that in Vegas, and we got to try to get the pod out there. We're going to get a live pod.
Yes,
vibe
I think so. We may have to relocate. A couple weeks maybe, just so we could acclimate to Vegas.
Take in the scene. Really experience the culture. I like
Get
to
there
experience
before
the
and after.
culture
Yeah.
of Las Vegas. I want the Grizz in. Like,
Yeah, me too.
certain teams I think are good for the cup. I think certain teams, like last year, I think the Pacers were actually a fun team for the cup, and they played in the final and they lost the Lakers in the cup final because they were high powered, they were offensively awesome. Halliburton was great. Presuming that, and he will be, he should be, Ja's back. Like, I want exciting teams that are so interesting that when the casual sports fan hopefully goes, oh, I'll watch this semifinal in Vegas on TV, or I'm in Vegas, I'll go. The Grizzlies are one of those teams, if I'm the NBA, that I want in there. So I'm rooting for Memphis because I'm rooting for this cup to be, it's not going to be amazingly significant this year, but in 5 or 6 years, I'd love it to matter. And I think those sorts of teams that maybe aren't going to win a championship, although Memphis is good, but it's just like John Moran is mesmerizing. And to have like a couple extra nights where he could be on a national stage and be in these games that have this added significance, I think it would be big for the league. So even though he's not playing tonight, go Grizz. Like, I love Memphis to stay alive in this.
I would like him to be back. They're just so snake bitten with injuries, man. They're deep and they play a lot of guys like the Warriors do, but no Edie tonight either. He rolled his ankle the other day and they plucked him after 14 minutes. One more that I wanted to run past you. You've got the Pels at the Mavs tonight in the cup. Pels super injured, everybody injured.
Yeah.
And yet they're 1-0 in the cup and the Mavs are 0-2. Mavs have won 2 in a row. Just to climb back to 500. We had talked about those really close games that they had lost. They have not been clutch in the clutch this season, but this feels like a game that, climb above 500, get some momentum and like put those behind you.
I mean, it'd be a hard game to watch. I'm gonna keep it real. Like, the Pelicans are a brutal watch. I mean, everybody, even their fans, I think, are like roll ankles when they go to the arena. And the Mavs are, I've watched a lot of Mav games this year too, because I kind of like watching them play and I'm interested in Clay. They're not very, there's a lot of teams this year that we expected to be great that aren't very good, but it's so early, it's hard to know what to make of them. This is a get right game. I mean, just beat up on the, what do you call injured teams all the time? Hospital.
Yeah, it's the hospital Pelicans.
The hospital. I mean, that's going to be a tough game. That's going to be a tough watch, John.
It is, but this is one of those situations, like if you're a Mavs fan or the Mavs organization where Luka's gotten off to a rough shooting start, where you're like, just eat tonight. Go out there and murder these dudes because they've got nobody who's available. They should win this thing going away. I haven't checked the line, but I would imagine it's pretty heavily favored on the Mavs side. All right, let's take one more break. And then on Tuesdays, we like to do overreactions, right? We get a little silly, things that we're excited about that we're going to make pronouncements. We'll do that on the other side. This is Beyond the Arc.
If you love football, this is the best time of the year.
This is as big as it gets.
The stuff of absolute dreams.
All right, welcome back to Beyond the Arc. A reminder, you can find us on YouTube at Beyond the Arc CBS. Please hit the like button, leave a comment, subscribe. There's a little bell symbol. So if you click on that, you'll get notified when we go live. We go live Monday through Friday, noon Eastern. Come and join us. And as I mentioned, we're going to be live tonight after that big Cavs and Celtics clash. Bill, Overreaction Tuesday. Take it away. You go first.
Huge overreaction. That's true. For the next 5 years, the NBA Cup games are much more compelling sports television, a better watch than the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to cross brand here. The Cowboys played Monday Night Football last night. They're a disaster. Ash, wherever you are, I told you they were a disaster. So if you're out there and you don't know what to do with your time when the NFL keeps putting the Dallas, and they're on in a month too, the Cowboys can't be flexed off because of the Simpsons or something. Watch the NBA Cup. Just forget Monday. Go to Tuesday. Watch the NBA Cup. The NBA Cup, the most interesting thing going on in sports in the evening most weeks.
I didn't watch any of that last. I basically checked out on the NFL with the exception of the Eagles, because who has the time? Like, there's basketball on every single night and we've got to consume it for work. And then, when there's both of us and producer Aaron are soccer guys. So they're in an international break right now. But
that's how I had the greatest fantasy football comeback ever last night. So
congratulations on that. I have a team that I split with my buddy who's coming out here that I'm taking to the Clippers game on Friday. And we're like and we're like the Sixers of fantasy football.
Oh no. Have you had a team meeting? Have you blamed each other yet?
I'm going to call him out for not showing up on time to things. All right, let's do one here. This is actually on behalf of producer Aaron, who flagged it. I had it in the rundown last week, but we just didn't get to it. So for people who miss this, Bronny James evidently is not traveling for G League road games, which was kind of curious, but the reason why we're bringing this up is because tomorrow the South Bay Lakers have a game in Oceanside, California, which is just north of San Diego. So depending on what time of day you leave, it's not a short car ride because of the traffic, but it's not a couple hours maybe, right? A couple hours and a half, whatever. It's a car ride. If he doesn't go to this, what are they doing, Bill? He has to go, right?
Oh, look, he has to go. He's not going to go. And this is why you don't let your dad, who means well, but is your dad, curate your career and make decisions about when you do and don't play. This has kind of gone under the radar, but Bronny's not even that good in the G League. And he's not that good in the G League. And I wrote a story on Bronny, and I quoted an anonymous person who had scouted him, who said he's going to struggle in the G League. And this always happens. When you write stuff people don't want to hear, they just call it a hot take, even if it's reporting. Whatever. 100% accurate. He's not good enough. Doesn't mean he can't be good enough. Doesn't mean he can't develop. But his ability to develop is going to be predicated by reality. LeBron is bending that and breaking that around him. And by playing at a level where he can improve. That's not the NBA. He should go to Oceanside? He should go to every G League game. He should be at every G League game, playing every game. And if there is a time when the Lakers G League team are home but off, and there's a Lakers game at Crypto, then you can go sit on the bench for that game. I think it's look.
I mean, it's not like
it's a disaster,
Durham, right? It's like you're not taking a long, broken down bus ride 5 hours through the Carolina League. It's a short trip down to there's going to be traffic. You'll be fine.
Even if you are, but you're right. Like this is not that. So you should absolutely go. But even if you are going on a Bull Durham trip, you should go on the trip. You're not LeBron. And I don't mean that Bronny James is not good enough to play in the NBA, and he is not. And if he doesn't play enough G League games, you know what's going to happen? Those G League kids, those G League young men are going to get better, and Bronny's not, and he's going to be worse than he is now, which right now is not necessarily good enough to at least thrive in the G League. He is falling behind in the G League because LeBron wants to stage manage his career like it's one of these Spring Hill Studios productions or whatever LeBron's Hollywood company's called. But this isn't some TV show. It's not some scripted or unscripted show that you sell to Netflix. It's your kid's life and his basketball career. And if he's not out there playing and grinding in Oceanside, I don't know, does Des Moines have a G League team? In Des Moines, in Sioux City, and wherever, he is going to fail. He's going to fail at the G League level if they don't let him play G League games. Forget the NBA level. I feel so bad for this young dude.
You say it's not a Netflix show, and I will add yet. Like one day, right? We're going to find out. Like it's going to be, coming to, whatever streaming service
you're right.
You prefer. Here's the Bronny James experience. All right, give me another one.
All right. So look, we already hit this, but I wrote it down because my entire focus yesterday was that Clippers game. So I have two overreactions. One, we already hit. The Clippers are making the playoffs. The other is, because I don't think I praised the Clippers enough. The Clippers have the best in-game experience in the NBA, and they have the best media food, which doesn't apply to most of you.
I love this.
But I cannot eat media food because when I covered the Heat, I'm not saying the Heat intentionally gave people food poisoning. I would never say that. I would just say that their cook was as bad at cooking as that team that I covered was good at basketball, to the point where for 10 years, I can't eat media food. I will just go hungry but I eat all the food at the Clippers. I go into that media room. I was sitting there and Jim Jackson, who I've known for years, who does games with them, hit me up like, "Are you here? Are you around?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm around, man." He's like, "Let's catch up. Let me know when you go to get that free food. I know you like that free food." And I had a huge thing of just nachos. And
the Clippers don't charge the media. Normally you have to pay like $10 or something. That's pretty good.
No, dude, it's all, and the food's, I mean, if you were inclined to be cheap, like a certain guy, you might just get Differential every game and go have dinner there. The food is amazing. So the entire Clippers experience, media fans, extraordinary. And it, not just for me, it gets to go in the media room, and you and your buddy should get credentials and go with the food. It is the best. It's the best. When they eventually have a real contender, it's going to be incredible.
Back when I was at the Ringer, I had a ranking of all of the media food across the NBA. I don't remember where I had the Heat. I do remember my number one, and that was the Blazers, because in addition to having really good food, they're one of the few sports franchises that's left anywhere that will serve you a beer after the game. And they had Deschutes, and I was like, this place is amazing. I'm never leaving Portland.
The beer thing. So I started being a beat columnist in 2010. And every single game, we'd go to the press conference, we'd go to the locker room, I would go into that little media area for the Heat, get out my laptop, put on my headphones, and the PR staff hated me back then because I was pretty hard on LeBron. Then when LeBron left, they loved me. It was a crazy one. But you had to go in their office, and I would just get myself 1 or 2 Budweisers by the bottle and just drink Budweiser and write my story.
A little writing beer.
And then I don't know. I got stuck in a TV studio for 4 years, and I wasn't out as much. And I went back out like in 2000, whatever it was, 18, 19. And I asked somebody at another place for a beer, and they looked at me like I asked them, like I had slapped them in the face. Like, what?
Yeah, it doesn't really happen. It doesn't
I
happen.
know.
It's like very few places that you can go. Like Augusta will give you a beer. But to your point about like you should go and have lunch there or whatever. Back when I covered the Eagles, one of the Eagles writers and I used to make a joke that before I was married, we're like, we should bring dates here. This cafeteria is amazing. The food is so good. The Eagles practice facility had awesome food. I got one for you. We're talking about the Cavs and the Celtics tonight. I'm calling it. Here's my overreaction. Before the game even happens, I don't know if the Cavs are going to win this game tonight, but they're going to win the East. They're the 4th team in NBA history to start 15-0. The previous 3 went to the finals. I'm a believer. I mean, especially because of what you called out. I did not realize how good that defense has been. I've been so hyper focused on their number 1 offensive rating. To have a top 10 defense as well, I'm a believer in this team.
Okay, we're doing overreactions, right? They don't have to hold. We don't have to.
That's my
the Bucks are
overreaction.
back, baby. A win over the Rockets. Get the parade ready. Eastern Conference Finals minimum.
You've gone
Giannis
too far
with the
now.
block, Dame with the bucket, Doc Rivers being on the coach. It's all happening. I take it all back, Milwaukee. You guys are awesome.
Doc Rivers being the coach is the biggest overreaction that we've ever done on a Tuesday. I got one for you. Here's another one that I was thinking about. You know, this offseason, we everybody did crush the Nuggets for KCP leaving. I think they made the right call. They would have been in cap hell even more so than they already are if they had brought KCP back. Christian Brown's has been good. He's been better than KCP is off to like a really slow start. He's only making 1 3 per game. He's shooting 33 and change. Christian Brown, 44.7, almost 45% from 3, you know, smaller volume, but when the Nuggets are healthy, and, you know, that includes Aaron Gordon being out there, that starting 5 has the 2nd best net rating in the NBA. I mean, they've been really good.
It's amazing how sometimes the obvious thing we take for granted so much we lose track of it. When you play with a greatest of all time player, everybody looks better, and their value is sometimes overstated because of who they're playing with. That's true for guys that play with Steph. That's true for guys that play with LeBron a lot. It's true for guys that play with Mike. It's true for guys that play with Kobe. It's true probably for these guys in Denver. And we talk a lot about how Joker has never had a guy that's an all-star or an all-NBA player. And I think the general consensus around those conversations, especially a couple years ago, year and a half ago, when they won a title, was, why doesn't Jamal get the accolades he deserves? And when will Michael Porter Jr., someone's going to break through? And I think it's the opposite to your point about KCP. Joker's so good. He's so historically good that he has literally put all these guys on his back, and he has carried them the entire way. And when they leave the orbit of his excellence, they're probably not going to be as good as they were. And they're probably therefore not as important to what made Denver go as we think when they have to make difficult decisions to move on from somebody.
Yeah. You know, when those guys are all healthy, those 5, then all of a sudden the Nuggets have a real shot. Now, as I mentioned, Joker was at the last 2 games.
Yeah.
Because of personal reasons, and Gordon's out and whatever, but not quite as dire as we thought it was early in the season. Let's do a couple more, one more each, and then we'll do team of the night.
Without Kevin Durant, the Phoenix Suns will win 1 of every 20 games that they play.
They're not good. The wheels have really come off without him.
Yeah. And they don't look good.
1-4 without him?
Yeah, I tried to watch some of that game, right? Do you ever go to – I get judged, though, by the beat writers. Do you ever go to the game and then try to put up multiple games so you're watching the game? Right. So there's a lot of judginess in our business.
Yeah, they lost.
Like, hey, man, I'm not the Clippers beat writer. I can watch this. So I didn't catch all of it, but what I saw and what I tried to catch up on when I got home late last night, they didn't even look good. It's one thing to like play well and to lose because you don't have Durant. They're not good without him. They are not good. Devin Booker, as much talk as there is, and maybe rightfully so if they were to blow it up, which I don't think they will. Devin Booker's the guy you hold on to because he's younger, right? This was the talk in the summer. Devin Booker can't carry a team. Kevin Durant can. Devin Booker can't be so far the guy on the team. Kevin Durant can.
Yeah, 1-5 without KD. They didn't look good in terms of basketball. I will, however, note that they had their City Edition jerseys in court out last night.
You like those?
Good. Ooh, that is a nice looking jersey in court.
Would you wear that jersey? So you'd wear that jersey.
I would wear the shirt. I'm not a jersey guy because my thing is
hat
and shirt. But I have jerseys that I'll hang up and frame or whatever. But I don't wear them because I'm wearing somebody else's name on my back.
So I won't wear another person's name on my back, except Messi but I'll wear a Barcelona jersey. No name. Yeah. But I'm with you. It's a weird, I don't need a guy's name tattooed on my back, even temporarily. Yeah.
Just t-shirt, hat. I'm good to go. Last one for me. Which one do I want to do here? I'll go with this one. We talked a lot about how good point differential is for the NBA Cup. And I do believe it is. And we outlined it for any number of reasons up to and including the fact that it keeps star players on the court late because margin matters, right? I don't know that the average fan understands it. And I don't mean to indict our listeners. We have, I'm sure, extremely smart listeners, but I was listening to the game last week. It was the Grizz Warriors game and Mike Breen was on the call. Mike Breen is amazing. Mike Breen is like, give me a double bang any night, right? He's like one of the best announcers in any sport anywhere. But he's talking about, he's in the game and he's talking about Steve Kerr and the Warriors organization. And he's like, look at this, that this is such a professional organization. They're trying really hard late in this game. And then he had to immediately correct himself because he goes, the statistician just told me that, oh yeah, point differential matters. And I was like, Mike Breen didn't even know. Like, we got this really cool thing, but I don't think anybody understands it.
I think you and I grasp it more because we follow soccer really closely.
Oh yeah,
and gold, and that's the thing is
people are still warming up to it.
Yeah, they don't. If you don't follow soccer, you don't have the muscle memory of how that works, and that is the point. Adam Silver wants it to be a very soccery model. I got one more small overreaction to a team that lost, but I'm in on the Pistons being okay in a couple years. I'm sort of in on, the Pistons are going to be all right because they lost last night to Chicago. But Cade Cunningham's really good.
Mm-hmm.
He's really good. And so change of coach. We've talked about the fact that they've been scrapping. They've won more games already this year than maybe some people thought they might based on what happened last year. If you can have a guy to build around and a young core that looks like they can grow, and the coaching situation is not a complete disaster, right? Good things can happen. It can take time. The stock is low, but I would buy stock in Detroit if it were over the next 2 or 3 years.
I was excited for them to win last night. They didn't, as you mentioned, but they had a chance to get to 500. Yeah. So one of these days, 500 is coming. All right, one more from me too. I think grumpy JJ Redick is good. I've been thinking about this. Okay. He's gone full curmudgeon since becoming a coach. And it's kind of like he decided to make a heel turn in wrestling, because he was having a great time with his media company and doing ESPN games and doing First Take and all this stuff. And then he's gone like full, I'm going to be like, you're going to talk to me and I'm going to growl at you and my hair's going gray. It's kind of funny to watch this transformation.
You liked it. I think he was a little like this on TV. So there were definitely times where he very strategically would be on First Take where everyone is yelling at each other. And he would do this is so beneath me. He would just do it. He would break out he's a little haughty. Maybe he's a nice guy. I don't know him very well, but I think it comes very naturally to him. I think he's warming up to the perception too, because they had the ESPN game the other night. And, they did the coach interview and Richard Jefferson was on the call and he was busting Richard Jefferson's chops about it and like doing it in a way like tongue in cheek, like I'm a grumpy old coach now. But we obviously were in the NBA together. We were ESPN teammates together. I think he knows. And it's interesting to watch. Let me take it a step further then. Overreaction Tuesday. Is he going to become, and it doesn't have to be this year or even next year, a top 7 coach in the NBA? Does he have that in him? Is he going to be great?
I'd have to think about that. And it's obviously performance based, right? I mean,
Yeah.
for coaches a lot of the time, although, well, Spo too.
I mean, Ty Lue's a great coach, and it was hard to tell when he was coaching LeBron because LeBron, like, there's
Right.
post LeBron part of JJ's career, and it turns out you can learn, right? Like, Ty Lue's an amazing coach.
If I had to bet on it, so that's top 25% roughly. Top 1 and 4. If I had to bet on it, I'd bet on yes, just because, like I said, I think he's really smart. He's just, I mean, he knows the game, and he's smart, and he works really hard. And if I had to bet on it, I'd say yes. All right, let's wrap up with team of the night.
I'm going to go, we've already hit them a bunch, but I have been pretty hard on the Clippers, and I probably, not on purpose, need to stop going to Clippers games where they do something cool, like open a stadium or celebrate James Harden's history, and then why it's totally meaningless. So I will go Clippers. I will go Clippers team of the night just because, and we've hit them a lot. We don't need to belabor this, and that's the game I was at. As we discussed, they're good. But I'm not sure they're great, but they're not really, really bad, and they play
Functional,
really hard.
professional.
Well said. They are a professional basketball team.
Professional basketball team. And like I said, a good watch, not a bad watch. I thought that they were going to be horrendous. We live in LA. We get a lot of Clippers. We get all the Clippers and Lakers games. And I just thought, oh man, that's going to be such a slog to watch this season. Hasn't been. Actually pretty good.
And you'll appreciate this. Can I also tell you, because crypto, 16 minutes took me to get home after the game last night.
You know what? I was thinking about this last night when he popped up at the Clippers game again. I was like, man, it's so much better for us being on, because we both live, this is like super inside the LA bubble for people who don't live in Los Angeles, but we both live on the west side. Getting anywhere in Los Angeles is an hour at any time of day.
I'm going to give you there's 2 back routes. The old stupid SNL commercial where they talk about the way they go.
Yeah. Which way did you go?
I have to go. I'm going to the Lakers game on Thursday, and just full disclosure,
you have to leave now.
I do, and I have zero interest. I have to meet. There are a few Lakers people I want to meet that I don't want to. I do have to leave now, and I don't want to go.
It's Tuesday.
And I drive by the Intuit Dome.
There in time.
I get on the 105, and there's the Intuit Dome, and I still have an hour to go, and it makes
LA
me
is
rage.
so dumb. LA is so dumb. When people come to town, not to belabor this point, but I'm going to a little bit. People come to town and they're like, "Oh, I'm staying in like the Valley or whatever." I'm like, "Cool,
Right.
That's an hour and a half away." If I was in Philly and you flew to New York, you wouldn't expect me to come hang out with you.
You might as well stay in Phoenix. Because I'm not
right. It's not. I know it's the same city, but I'm not driving that far. It's ridiculous. That's why Bronny James won't be going to Oceanside. All right. My team of the night is an easy one. We talked about this. It's the Bucks. They snapped a big Rockets win streak, starting to gain a little bit of momentum. We'll see if they can keep it up. But for now, I think that's going to do it for us today. As I mentioned, we're coming back tonight. We're going to have post-game reaction on CBS Sports HQ, and then we'll be live right here on YouTube at Beyond the Arc CBS following Cavs and Celtics. We're excited about that one. But for now, for our NBA insider Bill Ryder, I am John Gonzalez. We thank you so much for tuning in, everybody, and we'll see you tonight.